Good morning and welcome to Leveraging Data Across the Organization, Creating a Common Language. My name is Emilie Comeau-Sinclair and I am the Director of Destination Development at Tourism New Brunswick. We have been working here at Tourism New Brunswick with the team at Environics for the past 10 years and have really learned, we think, the best way to manage data, to share data, and found a way to really connect with the rest of our industry and the stakeholders. We are a big supporter of Prism. We use it really as the base of most of our conversation. So what kind of data do we have? I'm sure as we have, you are faced with so many different points of data. And how do we use it and who is it related to? So we have a lot of stakeholders internally. We have our marketing team, we have a destination development team, our park teams, research, we have senior representative that also want to see and hear and use the data. And then we have all of our external stakeholders, such as our operators, our communities, our region, our agencies that do some development work for us, that do some marketing for us, our consultants that work sometimes very closely with the same clients that we have. So there is a lot of different people wanting to use and speak and working within that tourism ecosystem that we have here in New Brunswick. So how do we do that? How can we find a way to connect and to share the same type of information? So as I mentioned, we have so much information available to us. We have our traditional data that we have from Environics. We have Visitor View that here in New Brunswick, we started using about 1.5 years ago at the same time that we're using Molebascape and other tools such as Cross Shop. And then we have our own data and data that we get from Destination Canada. So data that we get from our snowmobile license, data that we get from our provincial parks booking. Well, what to do with all of this and how to find a way to connect all of these pieces and to be able to speak with our industry, with all of our stakeholders in the same way. So trying to understand who is our visitor, what do they look like, what are they interested in, where are they, when do they come, how can I speak to them, where do they stay, what, how and why would I want to do this and figure out a way? And what's the magic? How do I find a way to connect them all? So here in New Brunswick, we do call the postal code the magic of the postal code. So the postal code is a great way to get people to stop being scared about data. I'm sure you've heard, just as I have, how scary numbers are and intimidating, how so much data can be. And how do we connect? And well, this doesn't talk to that. And what do you mean and why? So the postal code for us is a way to bring everybody in a much calmer space. Everybody can connect to the postal code. Everybody has a postal code. Everybody is used to talking about the postal codes, to handing out their postal code. So what does that mean? Linking the postal code to the segmentation, to Prism, is a really great way to get buying from our industry, from our tourism ecosystem, to understand, why would I be using data? What does that mean? We already have some operators that are collecting postal codes. We have regions that see the value in it. They kind of are understanding why is it really important. And as we say, it's easy to collect, it's easy to take action from when you are linking it to the right thing. But how to do that? We have all of these different data sources, and now we have the postal codes and we layer on Prism. So for us, we use scorecards. So scorecards have been a way within our organization to help us focus and understand all of the different levels of data that we have. So we have the scorecard understanding, who is traveling to New Brunswick, how long are they staying, where are they coming from. We have our scorecard when we're looking at our provincial park or our national park campers. So we understand who is booking within those parks, who is taking advantage of those services. Again, what do they look like? How do they connect with all of the different data sets that we have? A great way for us to get our internal buy-in. Data is such a big thing that if you don't have somebody within the organization who's really able to sell it, that believes in it, that can put it in a way that people can connect to it. So luckily for us here in New Brunswick, we have these internal champions. We've had them for a number of years. So we have the internal champions from some of our internal teams, and we also have the champions that really own, understand, and can manage and really create data in a way that we get it. So create tools, showcase the data that really is enabling us. We have early adopters that we've had from the get-go within our organization that are really the voice in going forward. We have, the tool that we use for us when we have new employees, when we working with new agency, linking it to data, linking it to PRISM, to the postal code, create this opportunity to have one set of rules, one way to speak about the data. So as I mentioned, having internal champion also helps us create those right tools. So you just saw the scorecard, and I mentioned how scared people are of numbers. So the scorecard, is not meant for everybody. The scorecard is really meant for those early adopters. So we sit down, get our roll up the sleeves with our marketing team and say, okay, guys, what do we do? Where do we go from here? What's our ideal visitor? What does our New Brunswick population is interested in? What do they look like? Who do we want to target? What offering are we missing? So, but we cannot have that in-depth conversation. We would freak people out if we showed them the scorecard, which is, pages and pages in an Excel document. But having the right tool, the way to speak to the right audience at the right time, we have found is key to having that internal buying. And of course, then we have all of our results. So if everybody is using the same language, is finding a way to use the data the same way, we started from this big scorecard, but then what? How do we help people really connect to the data? So here for us, we help our industry connect to the data by creating profiles. So we use that big intimidating scorecard that, only our early adopter or people who are really excited about data get a chance to see. And from that, we identify who are our target market. What do they look like? What's the market sizing? So connecting again those pieces from the postal code, using PRISM, using our explorers, our EQ segments, using the demographic. And then, in 6 pages, we are able to tell the story. We use the motivator. What does that look like for each of these people? What is the connector point? Why do we have 6 prison segments within one profile? Well, it's because we have a smaller population in New Brunswick. So what does that mean? How can I use that as an operator? How can I use that as an agency or as a consultant that's working with a community? What does that look like? So for us, we take these profiles, which we spend a lot of time developing, writing down. So it's not just these crazy, scary chart or this intense number that you have to, spend days figuring out. Easy, 6 pages, consume it, digest it. Anybody here is now able to do that. And we always say there's different ways to consume the data. So for us, always starting from PRISM, you saw it on the profile, we're concentrating on that top part and saying, here are our PRISM segments. If I'm an operator, if I'm down on the ground, I'm a one-man show, I'm running 10 different aspects of my business, how do I use this? Why would I be committed to using data? So for us, we always say there's 3 ways to digest it, 3 ways that you can find a way to apply it to the day-to-day. That is the ultimate goal. We want everybody to use it on the day-to-day. We internally use it on a day-to-day. We are working with everybody else in that tourism ecosystem to do that. So if we look from a geographical perspective, what does that look like? Who is it that I'm targeting? What if I just want to attract people that live all in northern New Brunswick? Who are they? What do they enjoy? What do they look like? Or maybe what's the motivator? Geez, I have this new ski hill. How do I get people to come? Where are they? Who likes skiing? Or maybe I should think about, if you like skiing, what else do you like? Do you like to have a nice local beer, or do you like to sleep in a very interesting accommodation? What does that look like? What is the motivator of of my potential visitor? And then we look at social values, because again, our goal is always layering on these different aspects. What does this visitor look like at the end of the day? So from a social value perspective, geez, I'm all about the environment. I want to talk to people who are interested in that. I want to find that visitor who maybe will be okay to spend more because everything is environmentally friendly. But that is the social value I'm looking for. So once we do all that, we're really having a rich conversation with our operators, with our communities, our region, our stakeholders, and it's finding the way to connect with them using that profile, saying to them, think about it these three different ways. What does that mean on the day-to-day? How does it help? And then we go further. So for us, it's using some of the different tools, right? So if we wanted to understand how, we all know how travel has changed with COVID and the pattern of visitor and who is going where and how long and what does that look like. So using MobileScape for us has really helped us to zone in some of our communities. We've seen these crazy numbers, but it's not reflecting in the cash registers ringing for the business owner. So why? Who's coming? And do I have the right offering? So understanding that has been a bit of an eye opener. So, oh, it's all these new people coming who have these different interests and are motivated by different aspects, right? So boys, I'm not even close to offering the right thing. We've seen the change specifically in our provincial parks, where we've seen a whole new clientele embrace our provincial park through the COVID years. So we've really had to adjust that offering, the length of stay, the price, the activities that are happening. What does that look like? So learning from the data has helped us make those day-to-day decisions. And then even using cross-shop, we're learning as we're looking at a region and saying, boys, this community actually serves this whole region in a different way, but they're not ready. They don't have enough accommodation, or the restaurants, they don't have enough. What does that look like? What is the conversation we then can have with our funding partners to say, hey, data is telling us this is missing, and we know this community serves this specific purpose for this whole region. So again, using that holistic view of the visitor, of the pattern, of the things that they're really looking for. So the power of data, I can't say it enough, has really helped us connect that comment language. So as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just us internally talking, oh, Prism, we are talking Prism all over the province. We are making sure that people are understanding the postal code, understanding Prism. So if you're having a conversation from anybody in the department with anybody that works in the tourism industry, that language is consistent. Those exchange can happen and really bring more questions, really interesting conversation from region to region. That conversation is now elevated because the language is the same, because we are starting from the same data point. We talked about credibility, that importance of us being able to say, we've had some skeptics, some people who are going, what are you talking about? This doesn't make sense. And, pulling out that scorecard and saying, this is the process we go through. This is how all the pieces are connected. This is why we feel this is the best direction, or this is the best information we can provide. So that's really helped, again, having a higher level of credibility. And of course, transparency. We're all on the same page. This is the data we have. This is the data we share. This is the way we speak, from any employee within the department up the line to our minister, to our deputy minister, to our external funding partner. The example I gave, hey, we can identify from a data perspective what the needs are. So a really great way to see that power in the full picture. We have a consultant that's creating a business plan for a new business, and we say, hey, you're using our data, you're using the same data. What is the, that conversation then becomes so much easier and so much more valuable at the end of the day. The great success for us that we've had in the last few months is having our stakeholders knocking on the door saying, give me more, give me more. I want to see more data. I want to understand better. I want to be able to apply it and get to that next level. So we created phase 1 of our data platform, where we're showcasing month-to-month numbers and information about visitor origin, about what does that look like on a monthly basis from our target market. And we've really focused on taking away the distractions. So sometimes you look at data, and for example, here we'd see from Ontario, it's 44,323, and people get just focused. What? There was 323 people coming? What do you mean? But that's not the story. The story is there's 54,000 people coming. So really getting all the distraction out of the data so people can focus on the big picture and the story that it tells. We go further when we use our weekly tracker, and we're able to showcase, we've seen some really good results, but in 2021, we've had higher weeks than 2019, which is the base year that we're using pre-COVID. Wow, so all these visitors are coming. Are we able to deliver on the services? What type of experiences are they living in Canada, in New Brunswick? What does that mean from a workforce perspective? We really need to focus on certain areas as opposed to other, and how do we really focus on that delivery? So again, having that conversation has enabled us to really elevate the questions we're asking, the way we're using the data. What does that look like? So key takeaways, that importance of creating that common language across the province, across the stakeholders. And as I mentioned, it's not just us, it's not just the operators or the region entities or the communities, it's also the funding partners. It's the consultant that works in the tourism world. It's really creating that one way to speak about our visitor, understanding the different layers. What does that mean? It's that key piece of having an internal champions, and more than one, really being able to tell the data story, to be the face of it, to explain, to showcase it, to bring it to a place where people can connect to it, finding that really key tool that will speak. So as I mentioned, not everybody is ready for the scorecard. Everybody is ready for the profile. Some people want more. Some people want to see the platform. Some people want to see maps. Some people want to really dig in and understand what it specifically means for their region, their community, or their operation. So really, really key to understand who we are speaking to and how they can take action. So if we always focus on, say, if I'm giving you this piece of data, how can you base a decision on? What does it mean for you? And the beauty of it for us has been this new way. The French word would be engouement. So this energy around data, all of a sudden, that's a word we use, data, data. What is that? Well, what's your prism? What does that mean? How are you using it? We're thinking differently. We're having different conversation. We're linking things that really are enabling us to get ahead in these challenging and difficult times. So really, really key for us in how we are approaching our tourism ecosystem here in New Brunswick. So thank you so much for your time. I look forward to some questions and to join you in the next session. Thank you.